Masters table. Masters table.
Master elements.
Masters table. Masters table.
Racism, white supremacy is a dynamic system for the ultimate purpose of white genetic survival on the planet. White supremacy.
You are in an evil system, a system that is designed deliberately to produce evil thoughts, to produce animosity, to produce violence.
Introduction to African civilizations and man-garden civilization.
Master elements. Master elements.
We dedicate lives to the study of history.
They didn't tell us that if you give up the man, you're going to take one of these things and it's worse and it will destroy your nation.
The right way is clearly distinct from error.
Racism is a competitive relationship between groups of people who are competing for the ownership and control of resources, wealth, and power.
Do for self or suffer the consequences. The wisdom of Elijah is inside of the conscientious. So I move.
Ah, man. Peace to the family. Peace to the family. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Y'all in here heavy already. That's what I like to see. Welcome, family, to another episode of Sincere Love the Godcast. Excuse me. And this is the Masters Decoded series, where we break down and dissect the lyrics to my new project, me and my brother DJ RP Beats' new project, The Masters Table. And today is a special one. We're going to be deciphering the lyrics behind the song Who Killed Malcolm? And I am joined, as most of y'all know, the reason why most of y'all are here right now is because we are joined by none other than the great student minister, Dr. Wesley Muhammad is here. Welcome to the Godcast, brother.
Peace, God. I appreciate you.
Peace to the God, man. I appreciate you. Appreciate you. So, yeah, man. Absolutely. Thank you for being here. Everybody that's climbing up into the chat right now, I need y'all to set it off right for me. Hit that like button. Share this out on your social media platforms and let everybody know that we are live. If you're not subscribed to the channel and you're new here, make sure you head on over to the YouTube channel, Sincere Love the God, and hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell so you can be reminded whenever we go live with new content. Me and my sister, Nicety Girl, we do Sincere Love the Godcast every Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 1 p.m. Pacific Time, where we cover current events and we talk about other important topics that we feel are relevant to Black society. Also, on Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have the Black Business Showcase, where we bring on business owners and entrepreneurs, and we just chop up some good game about business. And then bi-weekly on Thursdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have the Pick Me Godcast. And I'm not on that one, but my sister, Nicety Girl, along with my sister, the Brown Skin Baddie, they are the hosts of the Pick Me Godcast, where they talk about relationships between Black men and women, and all of that good, important stuff that we need to talk about in Black society concerned in that. And so, yeah, you guys want to stay tapped in with us, man, for all of those things. Again, the YouTube channel is Sincere Love the God. Just head on over there. If you're on Twitter or Facebook right now, you want to head on over there and hit that subscribe button and click the notification bell. But thank you all for being here. Thank you all for joining us. And again, thank you, Doc.
Thank you, man. The song you produced on this subject is so tight. Like I said, man, when you invited me, there was not a second thought. I could only add on, man.
And I'll be honest with you. I was hesitant to reach out to you for one reason only. I knew you would resonate with the song, but I use the N-word profusely throughout the record. You know what I'm saying? And so I didn't know. I was like, should I do it? Should I get a clean version? You know what I mean? I don't want that to be the reason why we don't make this connection. You know what I'm saying? But I am aware.
Not at all. As is hot. You know, none of us who wear bow ties drop from the sky. We all come up out the mud. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, you know, he didn't allow us to fast too much, even though fasting is good. But he would not allow us to fast too much because we would get too holy. We can't connect with our people in the mud. So he restricted how much we fast. So no, we are connected. We stay connected to the reality of Black life in America. And the song As Is perfectly reflects that, in my opinion.
Appreciate that. And so before we get into it, I guess I might as well play the song. I'm going to play it one time straight through. And then, you know, we could get into, you know, the analysis and the breakdown. I'm anxious and excited to hear your take, you know what I'm saying, on this whole thing. So y'all ready? Y'all ready? Should I play the record now? Should I play the record now? Or should I let y'all hit the like button a couple times? I mean, let y'all hit that share button a couple of times. I think we ready to go. I think we ready to go. We got Born Wisdom up in here right now. So let's go on and do it. This is the song Who Killed Malcolm. It's off of the Master's Table, me and my brother DJ RP Beats. It's available right now on all streaming platforms. You can go check it out. But if you really want to support us and tap in with us, you can go to www.themastersrsvp.com and you can place your order to get the digital download as well as the physical copy. We're going to be mailing the CDs out really soon, the posters and all of the merch and all of that stuff as well. So here we go. Y'all ready?
There are those in the circle who feared the kind of publicity that he was getting, the kind of attention that he was getting. He was the most vocal. He was the most loved. He was the most honored and respected.
And he outshone the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
In certain areas, yes.
So you think the nation really has something to do with that? I don't know, man. Because I'm saying, niggas don't say that about Darth Perry, William O'Neill, and these niggas that infiltrated the Black Panthers. They don't say the Black Panthers killed Fred Hampton. Listen, they don't walk it how I walk it, nigga. They ain't talking how I'm talking, nigga. It's different. It's just different. They ain't talking how we talking, man. They say the NOI got blood on their hands. I disagree with that. Open up the FBI files and let us see the facts. If Dr. King had mistress after mistress, honestly, that shit ain't really none of my business. And he wore lingerie under the Brooks Brothers, and privately, he was getting hand jobs from Darth Perry. Y'all could miss me with the mystery. History ain't a theory, nigga. Yeah. Hope you listen and hear me clearly, nigga. You poltergeist, I know I'm Christ, that's where we differ. You scary niggas pick the low-hanging fruit and bite the apple like Eve. Why not go to the root? I say, who told you that? Now let's consider the source. Every potential Black Messiah, they was picking us off. This shit is biblical. I know we live inside this digital reality. It's Web 3 now. Don't get it twisted, though. Yeah, and they ain't walking how I walk it, nigga. They ain't talking how I'm talking, nigga. It's different. It's just different. Nobody talking how we talking, man. Listen. So they don't walk it how I walk it, nigga. And they ain't talking how we talking, nigga. It's like we speaking in tongues. It's hard to reach the dumb. They control the major resources while we beefing for crumbs. You flex a flimsy muscle when you target Nipsey Hussle. They hit up water supplies. Mississippi, we love you. And Flint, Michigan, who knows when this shit will end? It's coming to a city near you. I hope you listening. I'm back to who killed Malcolm. A lot of information cleared the name of the nation, but some of y'all still doubt him. I had this argument with RPB. He said, nah, I think the nation had a part in it, G. They was jealous of Malcolm. He was outshining the master. You know the laws of power. I thought about it and asked him, you clear the government of wrongdoing? I mean, I understand the jealousy. We all human. But the nation was crawling with agents under conscious surveillance. And now they claiming that they botched the whole investigation like they incompetent. Come on, we need to stop this shit. They covered up the crime because they the fuckers that got them hit. Man, nobody talking how we talking, nigga. They scared to walk it how we walking, nigga. It's different. It's just different. Nobody talking how we talking, man. Listen. They scared to walk it how I walk it, nigga. Nobody talking how we talking, nigga. It's different. It's just different. They ain't talking how we talking, man. Listen.
Man, listen. Man, listen.
Man, listen. Man, listen.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's fire. That's fire for real.
Appreciate that. Appreciate that. So your initial reaction when I first sent you the track.
Well, one, it's hot. And then I played it over and over to really concentrate on the lyrics in particular. Because when you sent it to me, God, you said that you had listened to my work on the subject and incorporated it. What made me really smile is when you dropped the line about the low-hanging fruit. You know, I really appreciated that because it let me know that you really did your study on the subject. It wasn't that you listened to one conversation I had to got that particular detail. Let me know, no, the God is studious. So I very much appreciate it, of course, and I'm sure we're gonna get to it. The William O'Neill reference. I really appreciated that. So your lyrics aren't in any way surface or shallow with the subject. The depth of your lyrics indicating or signaling how deep you went in this particular study was really impressive. And of course, the creative genius to put it together the way you did musically, it's hot. It's hot. It's very impressive.
Definitely. Yeah, man. Me and DJ RP Beats, you know, when we go in, our primary objective is to make a dope record. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times,
that.
Yeah, a lot of times when you hear, you know, so-called conscious hip hop or, you know, people speaking, you know, about the reality of our situation in the hip hop songs, a lot of times it be corny. I'll just say that. You know, a lot of times people really don't want to hear it. So we made it our primary objective. We're gonna make some dope hip hop music primarily, and then, you know, me just being a student of, you know, scholars like yourself, you know, for so long, it's easy for me to incorporate the lessons that were learned. And actually, I often like to say that really I don't write the rhymes. The rhymes come through me. I'm just a vessel. You know what I'm saying? It's the ancestors speaking. It's the scholars whose shoulders I'm standing on that are speaking and utilizing my gift to get the same message across. You know what I'm saying? So definitely appreciate that. And also, you know, I've been following you for a long time. I got your book right here. Classic piece right here. Everybody should have this in their home. Everybody should study this. It's heavy. You know what I mean? It's complete with all types of receipts and everything like that. You know what I'm saying? So everybody need to have that in their home. Also, I got to shout out my brother. I don't know if he's here in the room right now, but Wakil Allah, I know that's your brother. That's a friend of mine as well.
Peace to the God, Wak.
Peace to the God, Wakil. I got his joint right here too. That's my brother on the history of the Nation of Islam. You guys make sure y'all go get that as well. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I don't know if he's here right now, but he told me he was going to pull up. So peace to you, God. So yeah, from the very beginning, right? Let's get into the record. From the very beginning, we got the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan speaking on the track. Let's play
In the
that.
circle who feared the kind of publicity that he was getting, the kind of attention that he was getting. He was the most vocal. He was the most loved. He was the most honored and respected.
And he outshone the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
In certain areas, yes.
All right. And so that's an excerpt from a classic interview with what's the guy's name? Mike Wallace. Yeah, Mike Wallace, where he was speaking with the minister and the daughter of Malcolm X.
Atala Shabazz.
Atala Shabazz. Yes, indeed. And I've met the daughters too. I was good friends with Malcolm Shabazz. He was a good friend of mine. I actually was the last person on the East Coast to see him. I took him to the airport. He was going out to California actually to help promote some of my music. You know what I'm saying? He was bringing some of my stuff out there to the West Coast to connect with some of the people that he had on the West Side. And we had been communicating back and forth over the first couple of days that he was there. And then the communication kind of fell off. And next thing I know, I'm on Facebook and people are hitting me up like, yo, ain't this your man? They sending me news articles like, yo, ain't this your guy? You know, telling me what happened. And I'm like, nah, we just talking about like, nah, this ain't go down. I was just talking to him. And so I'm calling him, hitting him up, and I'm not getting no response. And so most people are familiar with how that went. Somehow he ended up in Mexico, and he lost his life out there. It's still kind of a mystery of what happened there. But yeah, I was just saying, you know, I did have an opportunity to meet his aunties and all of that. I was at the funeral. I met some of the other family members as well. And so this is a subject that is near and dear to me as well. Y'all see the Malcolm picture in the background. But in that interview, I felt like Mike Wallace, he was being a real weasel. The way that he conducted it and some of the things that he was trying to, the way that he was trying to slant the narrative there. And so one of the things that I remember that he was saying in there, he kept bringing up the fact that he kept saying, well, a lot of people hold Minister Louis Farrakhan responsible because of the words that he spoke during that time and some of the things that he wrote in the final call at that time, that, you know, his words is what Muhammad speaks, pardon me. Yeah, Muhammad speaks at that time. But it was his words that made him responsible for the murder and assassination of Malcolm X. What do you say about that, sir?
Well, first, that interview with Mike Wallace and Sister Atala Shabazz, it was a multi-hour interview, like 3 hours. You know, we, of course, have the entire interview recorded per the arrangement. Mike Wallace's people recorded and we recorded. So we have all several hours recorded. It was devilish the way Mike Wallace sliced several hours up to create the narrative that he wanted to create, to make the Honorable Brother Minister Farrakhan complicit in the murder, and skewing what the minister said to present it as if he confessed to culpability in the murder. And he did not. The minister said to Mike Wallace and Sister Atala what he has been saying since at least 1972. I posted on my Instagram page, correcting the narrative, a list of lectures that the Honorable Brother Minister Farrakhan has gave specifically treating the subject of Malcolm X from 1972 up until the 2000s. So what he said to Mike Wallace was nothing new. And this is what he said. He, the minister, as the Muslims in general, we take responsibility for what we contributed to the atmosphere that was manipulated by the U.S. government, created by the U.S. government, and then manipulated by the U.S. government, laying the base for them to kill Malcolm X. The Honorable Brother Minister Farrakhan said words as most Muslims at the time said words against Malcolm X because of the words Malcolm X said against our teacher, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. The importance of the minister's words then was that if it were not for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, yes, the minister said Malcolm was worthy of death, and most of us believed that. But the reason Malcolm X lasted almost a full year out of the Nation of Islam, the reason he lasted so long was because the same Muslims who felt he was worthy of death because of his words against our teacher, we were the ones who obeyed that teacher. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, leave Malcolm alone. So the only thing we can do to express our anger with Malcolm is to battle Malcolm with words, as he put words out there that was creating an environment in which he could be killed. He put words out there. We could only put words back because we were restricted from putting hands on Malcolm X. So this is what the minister expressed remorse about. We are proud of the fact that our anger with Malcolm was manipulated by J. Edgar Hoover in the COINTEL counterintelligence program. We take no pride in that. We are not apologetic for feeling how we felt about what Malcolm was saying about his teacher. We've never apologized for that. We never will apologize for that. The environment was triggered not by the Honorable Brother Minister Farrakhan. It wasn't triggered by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. It was triggered by Malcolm and his words against his teacher. We responded. Both of us were manipulated by the U.S. government, and then they came in and killed him.
Absolutely. And before I play the next part of the song, I just wanted to ask you, what is your relationship, if any, or any communication that you have with the family? I know they got the new lawsuit. They got Benjamin Crump, and they got the lawsuit against is it the NYPD?
The NYPD, the FBI, and the CIA.
Right. So do you have any relationship with any of the daughters, any of the family members, or any communication between the nation and them?
I do not personally. Of course, my teacher, the Honorable Brother Minister Farrakhan, does, as he had a relationship with Sister Betty Shabazz. He has a relationship with the family. I have not had the privilege personally to meet the daughters. I, of course, was on a show with Attorney Crump. He and I communicated and exchanged, and I was given a heads up before this last lawsuit, wrongful death lawsuit, was filed. A member of his legal team gave me a heads up a couple of months ago that it was coming down the pipe. So I anticipated it, but no, as of now, I don't have any personal relationship with the family.
Okay, cool. All right. As we proceed to give you what you need,
So you think the nation really has something to do with that? I don't know, man. Because I'm saying niggas don't say that about Dr. Perry, William O'Neill, and these niggas that infiltrated the Black Panthers. They don't say the Black Panthers killed Fred Hampton. Listen.
So you said that stood out to you?
Yes. Yes. Because when William O'Neill, the head of security for Fred Hampton and the Chicago Black Panther Party, he, of course, was a FBI informant, a well-paid FBI informant. He provided the blueprint, the layout of the apartment, allowing the Chicago Police Department to target Fred Hampton's bedroom. William O'Neill spiked Fred Hampton's drink with a sleep drug. So when the cops busted in, Fred Hampton could only lift his head, but he was incapable of getting up to save his own life. William O'Neill was an active member of the Black Panther Party at the time. He was the head, Fred Hampton's head of security. But he's the reason that execution was successful. Nobody says the Black Panther Party killed Fred Hampton. Nobody even says that the murder of Fred Hampton and Mark Clark was a collaborative effort between the FBI, the Chicago PD, and the Black Panthers. No one ever says that. Even though a current card-carrying Black Panther is the reason the FBI and the CPD was successful in that execution. What point are you making, Brother Wesley? The individuals who are affiliated with the Nation of Islam, who did play a role in the assassination of Malcolm X, they were either irrefutable intelligence assets, for example, John Ali, National Secretary, or they were not current card-carrying members of the Nation of Islam, including Talmadge Hayer, included, in fact, all five of the shooter team: William Bradley, Leon Davis, Benjamin Thomas, Wilbur or Kinley is a mystery of who he ever was. So either the people who are most associated with the Nation of Islam, they were either intelligence assets like William O'Neill, or they were not card-carrying members of the Nation of Islam currently at that time, or they were both intelligence assets and not card-carrying members of the Nation of Islam. That is, in particular, William Bradley, the shotgun killer. He was on F-time. He was not a current member of Mos 25 in Newark, New Jersey. That's why he arrived at the Audubon with a full beard. Had he been a current member of the Nation of Islam, he would not have had time to grow a full beard, but he was on F-time, as was Talmadge Hayer at the time, meaning he was put out of the Nation of Islam, and he was an intelligence asset. William Bradley did not wield that shotgun on behalf of the Nation of Islam. William Bradley wielded that shotgun on behalf of the NYPD, in particular, BOSSI, the Bureau of Special Services and Investigations. So why attach or why attribute culpability to the Nation of Islam for killing Malcolm X, when the individuals who are affiliated with the Nation of Islam weren't current, they didn't have the standing in the Nation of Islam that William O'Neill had in the Black Panther Party at the time. See, there's a double standard. There's a real double standard. So when I heard that in your song, I said, bravo, peace to the God.
Because to me, like you've done extensive, detailed research on the subject. You know, you've laid this out on multiple platforms, you know, with great detail. You know what I'm saying? Great research was done on your behalf to exonerate, rightfully so, the Nation of Islam. But to me, that simple thing that you just explained, that was enough for me right there. That logic right there alone, that along with the orders from the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, hands off Malcolm X. Those two things right there, it's like, okay, how y'all still saying that it was the nation? I don't get it. You know what I'm saying?
What's important about the orders and in relation to what we just said, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, he was Minister Louis X at the time. His words in Muhammad's speech, such a man as Malcolm is worthy of death, and we believe that to be the case. He continues, and he would have met with death if not for the messenger of Allah's faith in Allah. Referencing, of course, the fact that the messenger of God, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, gave orders to current members of the Nation of Islam, to leave Malcolm alone. Those orders were absolutely obeyed. Every current member of the Nation of Islam obeyed that order. This is why the government had to rely on 5 members who were not current members of the Nation of Islam, had to pay them. The government couldn't even find current active members who would accept the money offered. A figure that Eric Norden discovered, the investigator journalist who wrote one of the earliest and most important articles on the assassination of Malcolm X. He discovered that Talmadge Hayer was offered $3,000, which that's 1965. There's $20,000 in today's money. He was offered $20,000 in today's money in order to participate in the assassination of Malcolm X. That's good money.
Mm-hmm.
That money was offered, no doubt, to active members of the Nation of Islam, but nobody bit. The government had to rely on excommunicated former members of the mosque in order to execute their plan.
But even when you say that, weren't they planted in the Nation of Islam in the first place, though? Not only were they excommunicated, weren't they plants to begin with?
We know that William Bradley was.
Okay.
I don't necessarily suspect that Talmadge Hayer entered the Nation of Islam insincerely.
Okay.
But of course, he had a rough ride in it. He got put out the mosque at least twice in a short time. He joined, I believe, in September 1962, Talmadge Hayer. He got put out the mosque, came back, he fell out the mosque, then came back, then he got put out the mosque. So I don't necessarily believe right now that Talmadge Hayer was a plant. William Bradley was a plant. We have his FBI file. William Bradley was a Marine, trained in weaponry. He was a shooter for the Marines. We have argued that William Bradley was sheep dipped.
Mm-hmm.
This is intelligence jargon when the intelligence community wants to use military personnel to conduct an intelligence operation. They sheep dip the military personnel, meaning they make it appear that they were put out of the military. They've entered civilian life. They give them a legend, which is a false civilian identity, and then send them into the group that they want to infiltrate to execute the covert operation. There is good reason to believe that William Bradley was sheep dipped and then sent into the Newark Mosque. So he likely was a plant. John Ali, the national secretary at the time, was likely a plant. So yes, of the 5 of the shooter team, because it's important, 2 teams were necessary for the success of those tragic events of February 21st, 1965. The shooter team, but the shooter team could not do what it did, except the Judas team executed their role in the plot. The Judas team were those around Malcolm X. The Judas team was responsible for eliminating all of the security apparatus that was supposed to be in place on that Sunday. Malcolm did not give the order, give the no search, no gun order. We know that he did not give that order. That order was given by the head of the Judas team.
Malcolm himself had a gun, right?
Would you say?
Malcolm himself was holding a gun that night, right?
Malcolm had a gun. Robert 35X had a gun. James 67X had a gun. Gene Roberts had a gun. Kerry Thomas had a gun. There's a possibility Malcolm X had 2 guns on his person. And so when you see that clip of Malcolm dying on the stage, and all of these people are around him, some of those people are digging through his pockets. 2 things are being searched for at that moment. 1, a list that Malcolm said he had on him, identifying the persons he believed were identified as or selected to kill him. They had a kill list, a list of assassins that he believed were assigned to take him out. We know Gene Roberts was molesting while he was supposedly giving mouth-to-mouth resuscitation to Malcolm, which in so doing, he was hastening Malcolm's death. But he himself admitted he was ruffling through Malcolm's pockets trying to find that list. The other thing that they were looking for, in particular, the one bending over with the black coat on, he was looking for the gun that was on Malcolm's person. The one in a black coat looking for that gun was Anas Lukma, who was a CIA and Office of Naval Intelligence operative. He was ruffling through Malcolm's pockets, trying to lift that gun up off him. And according to him, he successfully did so. So all of that to say, it was James 67X, Warden, or James Shabazz, Malcolm's right-hand man, who is responsible for stripping Malcolm of security on that day, allowing the shooter team to enter the Audubon with their guns, get in place, and execute their part of the operation. But it could never be done except Kill Team 1, the Judas team, did their job.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Peace to the family. If y'all just coming up in here, make sure y'all hit the like button on your way in. Also, you want to share this out on your social media platforms. Let everybody know that we are live. We are deciphering the lyrics of Who Killed Malcolm, song by me and DJ RP Beats off the album The Master's Table. It's available now on all streaming platforms.
There are those in the circle.
Listen, they don't walk it how I walk it, nigga. And they ain't talking how I'm talking, nigga. It's different. It's just different. They ain't talking how we talking, man. They say the NOI got blood on their hands. I disagree with that. Open up the FBI files and let us see the facts. If Dr. King had mistress after mistress, honestly, that shit ain't really none of my business. And listen, J. Edgar Hoover was a closet freak. He wore lingerie under the Brooks Brothers, and privately, he was getting hand jobs from Darth Perry. Y'all could miss me, but the mystery history ain't a theory.
All right, I'll stop it right there for now. So they say the NOI got blood on their hands. I disagree with that. Let's open up the FBI files and let us see the facts. That's something that I've heard the minister call on for decades now. You know what I'm saying? Let's open up the files. Y'all got the files. The man was under constant surveillance. You know what I'm saying? There's no way that y'all don't know exactly what happened, what went down. Why not release the files and undermine the Nation of Islam, which is what y'all want to do in the first place? Why not just release the files and, you know, put it out there?
Absolutely. Let's unpack that. Currently. So, of course, just as the government refuses to release the majority of the files relevant to the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, and the American public have been lobbying the government for decades now to do so, we absolutely want the government to open up all of the files, not just the FBI files. But we know the CIA, the Office of Naval Intelligence, Army G2 Intelligence, all of them had a surveillance operation on Malcolm X. We want all of those files opened up, absolutely. There's a caveat though, Black God Sincere. The caveat is this. Right now, 2023, there are currently 9,000 files available. 9,000 files from the FBI, CIA, and NYPD. In addition, there's 5,000 documents currently available in the Malcolm X assassination file, which is currently housed in the New York Municipal Archive. 5,000 documents. Of those 5,000 documents, for example, only 5 of them constitute the 5 volumes of the 1966 trial, the transcript from the trial of Thomas Hare, Thomas 15X Johnson, and Muhammad Aziz. That transcript amounts to 4,000 pages. And there are only 5 of the 5,000 documents of the Malcolm X assassination file currently housed in the New York Municipal Archive. What point am I making? This is the point. There is an enormous amount of files that have been available for decades now. And none of those who are responsible for creating the official narrative of Malcolm X, none of our Black scholars, not Zach Kondo, not Manning Marable, not Les Payne, none of them have availed themselves appropriately to this full body of data, of files, of receipts. And this is why all of them have a very skewed perspective on the assassination of Malcolm X. I am saying that by availing ourselves to the files that are available, there is no way the narrative, the claim that the Nation of Islam killed Malcolm X, there is no way that that narrative could have lasted this long, because there are enough facts in this body of material that gives the lie to that false narrative, but also it gives us the jewels, allowing us really to trace the contours of the very elaborate assassination plot that emanated from the White House. It didn't emanate from Chicago. It didn't even emanate from the FBI. It emanated from the White House itself.
That's very interesting. That's very interesting. And I don't know what it is, but you're absolutely right. All of the information that has been put out there, it has been skewed in a way to make us believe that the Nation of Islam is responsible and to demonize Elijah Muhammad specifically. But for me, I don't know. I'm just bad soil. You know, I watched the Malcolm X movie. I didn't walk away with that perspective. I read the Judas Factor. I think the brother's name was Carl Evans. Yeah, I didn't walk away with that perspective. I watched the Netflix documentary. Each one of those pieces, I still walked away saying it was the government. They never convinced me to think that it was the nation. You know what I'm saying? Even with the information, the way it was presented, I'm still saying, okay, the math ain't mathing. You know what I mean?
Because you went to those, your third eye was already open. You already had understanding. You could see before you saw. So praise belongs to Allah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, hold on. Because I played some more of that. So open up the FBI files and let us see the facts. Then I said, if Dr. King had mistress after mistress, honestly, that shit ain't really none of my business. But listen, J. Edgar Hoover was a closet freak. He wore lingerie under the Brooks Brothers, and privately, he was getting hand jobs from Dog Perry. So let me explain what I'm doing from a lyrical standpoint here. You know what I'm saying? I tied in the Dr. King thing because we know COINTELPRO, you know, it wasn't just about Malcolm. It wasn't just about the nation. It was about, you know, the fear of a Black Messiah, no matter what organization it may have been coming from. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm saying they try to use Dr. King's alleged infidelity to try to take away his credibility. And I'm just saying whether that's true or not is insignificant to me. And if we're going to talk about people's characters, let's consider the source where you're getting this from. J. Edgar Hoover was a cross-dresser. You know what I'm saying? So if you're going to hold Dr. King accountable for some alleged, you know what I'm saying, affairs that he was having or whatever the case may be, what about the person that's bringing you this information and their get down? You know, I'm looking at them more sideways than Dr. King. What does that have to do with his justice claim? Even if he was doing it, let's say it's all true. Let's say he did have all these women. What does that have to do with him fighting for justice for our people?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It doesn't negate that for me.
Not only was J. Edgar Hoover a cross-dresser, we now know that he and his second in command, Clyde Tolson, the associate director of the FBI, they were lovers for decades. And much when J. Edgar Hoover and the FBI organized the assassination on Dr. Martin Luther King. J. Edgar Hoover sent his lover, Clyde Tolson, to Memphis to organize it. So it was these two homosexual men who were the architects of the execution of our brother, Dr. Martin Luther King. What they, a very important point, what J. Edgar Hoover tried to do to Dr. King before assassinating him, they tried to execute a scandalization operation against Dr. King. They threatened him that they will scandalize him in the press. Now, what most don't know, of course, most of us know that Hoover sent Dr. King a letter telling him that with the tape, well, if we don't know, the J. Edgar Hoover's first attempt to kill Dr. King was an attempt to get Dr. King to kill himself. So J. Edgar Hoover sent a letter to Coretta Scott King and those around Dr. King, and the letter had a tape that supposedly had recordings of Dr. King's so-called extramarital affairs on them. And the letter told Dr. King that if he does not, in words, kill himself, the tape will be released to the public. Before J. Edgar Hoover sent that letter out, he had already sent that tape to members of the press. So they already had it. They wouldn't comment on it, but J. Edgar Hoover had already seeded the ground and began the scandalization operation that targeted Dr. King. Now, why is that important? The scandalization operation that targeted Dr. King was first piloted against the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Mm-hmm.
The FBI first executed a scandalization operation against the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. It was very elaborate. And of course, we're not talking about mistresses. We're talking about the wives of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, which the FBI had knowledge of going back to 1955, 1956. The FBI approached the wives, some of the wives of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and made them offers to be FBI assets for them against the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. These wives refused. The FBI, in its scandalization operation, sent Malcolm X material, hoping to trigger him and conscript him into this scandalization operation, which eventually it was successful. And Black God, I have the FBI documents acknowledging that Malcolm X executed their scandalization operation against the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Now, in this FBI document, they lament that it was unsuccessful. Now, be clear, I'm not at all suggesting that Malcolm X knew he was executing a COINTELPRO operation against the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I do not say he was a witting COINTELPRO operative. He absolutely was an unwitting COINTELPRO operative. He responded and carried to the public on a number of occasions material that was sent to him by the FBI. Now, this first scandalization operation, the FBI documents that acknowledge Malcolm X's role in it. They also acknowledged that it failed. It failed against the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. It did not have the effect that they wanted it to have. And so they moved on and they tried it with Dr. King. It did not work with Dr. King, so they ended up killing him. But yes, all of this was orchestrated by a man who chose his second in command as his longtime lover.
Right. And I just threw the the Dr. Perry hand job thing in there. That's not actually, history right there, but it's a proverbial hand job. You know what I'm saying? When you're doing the dirty work of the FBI under the leadership of J. Edgar Hoover, that's just some lyrical stuff right there. When I said
so, and there's a great lyric. What is history is the reason J. Edgar Hoover was never able to move on the mafia is because the mafia had photographs of J. Edgar Hoover engaging in sex with Clyde Tulsa. That's a fact. And this is why J. Edgar Hoover went on record saying there is no such thing as a Cosa Nostra, as a mafia. They had him in their pocket because they had the photographs of him and Clyde Tulsa.
Yes, sir. All right, family. Moving on. We heating up here.
Nigga. Yeah. Hope you listen and hear me clearly, nigga. You poltergeist, I know I'm Christ, that's where we differ. You scary niggas pick the low-hanging fruit and bite the apple like Eve. Why not go to the root? I say, who told you that? Now let's consider the source. Every potential black messiah, they was picking us off. This shit is biblical. I know we live inside this digital reality. It's Web 3 now. Don't get it twisted, though.
All right. Let's deal with some of that. I said, you scary niggas. Oh, no. Before that.
The low-hanging fruit.
Right. Yeah, you scary niggas pick the low-hanging fruit and bite the apple like Eve. Why not go to the root? I say, who told you that? Now let's consider the source. Every potential black messiah, they was picking us off. All of these lines are tied together because I'm making biblical references to the principles that were being carried out as well. You know what I'm saying? And
Paul Turk said, "You're Christ."
Right. Oh yeah. You poltergeist. I know I'm Christ. That's where we differ. You know what I'm saying? So saying the people that's pushing this narrative, our people who believe this narrative, who fall for this narrative, you know what I'm saying? We classify them with the 85%. You know what I'm saying? Believing in a mystery God. Worshiping a spook, worshiping a ghost. So you poltergeist. I know I'm Christ. And that's where we differ. This is the reason why, I'm not easily fooled by this false narrative. That's where we differ. You scary niggas pick the low-hanging fruit and bite the apple like Eve. So the low-hanging fruit is just the easy stuff to say, okay, it was black men that pulled the trigger. You know what I'm saying? So it was the Nation of Islam that killed them. That's the low-hanging fruit. You ain't going deep with that. You're not going beneath the surface and doing no type of investigation. You know what I'm saying? And so that's a reference to the fruit in the Garden of Eden, right? You scary niggas pick the low-hanging fruit, bite the apple like Eve. But why not go to the root? Instead of just picking the fruit, go to the root. Let's see where all of this is coming from. And so in the garden, when Adam and Eve, after they ate the apple, and then they hid behind the fig tree, and God was walking through the garden, and he said, where are you? And Adam said, I was hiding because I'm naked. And God said, who told you that? Right? So he's asking them, what is the source of this information? Same thing that I'm asking you. Who told you that? Let's consider the source.
That's dope.
Every potential black messiah, they was picking us off. And that's fast forward into the New Testament when you're dealing with the Moses era and all of that, when the Pharaoh gave the order to kill every male son that was born, throw him in the Nile and all of that. They was trying to prevent the rise of a black messiah. Same principles were being carried out under J. Edgar Hoover, trying to prevent the rise of a black messiah by attacking all of our leaders, such as Malcolm X. But add on, God.
No, that's dope. Thank you for unpacking that. Poltergeist versus Christ. How you drop that poltergeist, 85er, who believe in ghosts. They're afraid of ghosts and they worship ghosts. Versus Christ, of course, Christ is the template of God as man and man as God. That's you. That's me. That's a 5%. So that's dope. Thank you for unpacking that. And of course, a 5% don't believe in a mystery God. We don't believe in spooks. And we don't believe the lies of the 10%.
Right.
It's the 10% who spread the lie that the Nation of Islam killed Malcolm X. The 85%, the masses of the people, believe the lie that the 10% has told them. The same ones who told them God is a spook told them the Nation of Islam killed Malcolm X. So it's very beautiful the way you marry these concepts. The low-hanging fruit concept is very important. Of course, I posted. I don't know how clear this is.
Let me spotlight you.
I posted it on my page. This is the reference to the low-hanging fruit. The Black Muslim shooters, they're at the bottom of the infrastructure, the assassination infrastructure, the infrastructure that resulted in those tragic events of February 21st. They did not begin or originate with these Black Muslim shooters. They originated with the White House. And so we've detailed the concentric circles and the levels of the conspiracy. And the narrative, the official narrative and the popular narrative absolutely focuses on the low-hanging fruit, focuses on the Black Muslim shooters. And that's very low-hanging fruit. So immediately above the low-hanging fruit, the Black Muslim shooters, the bottom of the conspiracy pyramid, that's Kill Team 2. Immediately above them is Kill Team 1, the Judas team. That's those of Malcolm X's organization. Above that is the NYPD. In particular, BOSSI, the Bureau of Special Services and Investigation. Above the NYPD is the U.S. Intelligence Covert Operations Apparatus. Above that is the White House. The assassination of Malcolm X was an executive action. It was not the result of Black Muslim fratricide. It was an executive action. Executive action is the technical term for political murders that originated from an order by the White House. We documented that since World War II, the United States government has operated an assassination bureau, an assassination apparatus, which President Lyndon Baines Johnson referred to as Murder Inc. But the official name of the U.S. government's assassination apparatus was ZR Rifle. ZR Rifle is the official assassination apparatus of the U.S. government that originated with the White House responsibility for carrying it out was given to the CIA. The political assassinations that are conducted by or through ZR Rifle, these political assassinations are called executive actions. Malcolm X's murder was an executive action. The White House tapes him instructing J. Edgar Hoover to terminate Malcolm X. The language he uses, the euphemism, said, put a quietus on Malcolm X. Put a quietus on its language. It means terminate Malcolm X. We have President Johnson instructing J. Edgar Hoover to assassinate or terminate, silence Malcolm X. So, when we talk about the assassination, to spend all of our time here is to spend all of our time with low-hanging fruit. The operation originated all the way up here with the White House. So I loved how you dropped that in the song.
Yes, indeed. You poltergeist, I know I'm Christ, that's where we differ. You scary niggas pick the low-hanging fruit and bite the apple like Eve, but why not go to the root? I say, who told you that? Now let's consider the source. Every potential black messiah they was picking us off, this shit is biblical. I know we live inside this digital reality. It's Web3 now. Don't get it twisted, though. Even though we going into Web3 and the metaverse and all of that, the same principles are being carried out. We're still engaging in this spiritual warfare. Don't get it twisted. So let's go to verse 2. Let's go to verse 2.
Yeah, and they ain't walking how I walk it, nigga. They ain't talking how I'm talking, nigga. It's different. It's just different. Nobody talking how we talking, man. Listen. So they don't walk it how I walk it, nigga. And they ain't talking how we talking, nigga. It's like we speaking in tongues. It's hard to reach the dumb. They control the major resources while we beefing for crumbs. You flex a flimsy muscle when you target Nipsey Hussle. They hit up water supplies. Mississippi, we love you. And Flint, Michigan, who knows when the shit will end? It's coming to a city near you. I hope you listening.
And so, like I said earlier, a lot of times the lyrics don't come from me, they come through me. You know what I'm saying? I'm just a vessel, and my skills and my talents are utilized, you know what I'm saying, to bring forth these messages. But sometimes I have to use the scribe to summons that energy, right? And so in the beginning of verse 2, you hearing me speak for myself, right? And that's the reason, because when me and RP Beats came up with the song, we didn't know we was writing a song about who killed Malcolm. The song was called Different. You know what I mean? He sent me a track called Different, and I built the hook around that. You know what I'm saying? Because the sample in the track, it had a vocal sample that said different, and so I built the hook around that. And so when I started writing verse 2, I'm not thinking that we making a song about what we making a song about. So I started off thinking I'm going in a different direction, right? So verse 2 is like it's like we speaking in tongues. It's hard to reach the dumb. They control the major resources while we beefing for crumbs. You flex the flimsy muscle when you target Nipsey Hussle. They hit up water supplies. Mississippi, we love you. So calling out, again, the people with the low-hanging fruit, the gangbangers and the gangsters on the street, so on and so forth. Y'all think y'all being gangster by targeting somebody like Nipsey Hussle, when I'm looking at our open enemy who's targeting entire populations by contaminating the water and so on and so forth. Shout out to Mississippi. Shout out to Flint, Michigan. Then I said, it's coming to a city near you. I hope you listening. And then the ancestors bring me back around and they say back to who killed Malcolm. And so we'll get into that part as we move forward. But Is there anything that you want to build on with those lyrics in the beginning?
Absolutely. I loved when you mentioned, you flex a flimsy muscle by targeting Nipsey Hussle. I have been speaking on what's called the bully coon and the epsilon male. See, I've documented in the dominance hierarchy of America, there's an alpha male and there's an epsilon male. The alpha male is the American white man, the ruler of the world. The epsilon male in this dominant hierarchy is the black male in America. Now, there is nothing gangster, not truly gangster. There's nothing gangster about an epsilon male bullying another epsilon male. See, the epsilon males are the disempowered men. The alpha male is a man with power. And so for black men to think it's gangster to shoot at another black man, that's one epsilon male pulling out a gun to shoot another epsilon male. Ain't no display of power in that. If the epsilon male wants to acquire power, he will gun for the alpha male. But we ain't doing that. We are flexing a flimsy muscle. That's the signature of the epsilon male. That's the signature of the bully coon. He flexes a flimsy muscle. He against a fellow epsilon male, but he's real timid in the presence of and in the face of the alpha male. So that was a very important bar right there. I love that.
You flex a flimsy muscle when you target Nipsey Hussle. They hit up water supplies. Mississippi, we love you. In Flint, Michigan, who knows when this shit will end? It's coming to a city near you. I hope you listening. Let's get back to who killed Malcolm.
The same government that poisoned the water in Flint, that poisoned the water here in Chicago, in Detroit, not just with lead, but with these so-called forever chemicals that we hear so much about, which
was that in the pot plot?
It's in a pot plot. The
I gotta get that one.
Assault on Black America through our water, through our food, through our so-called recreational drugs. The government that is scientifically assaulting Black America is the same government responsible for the murder of Malcolm X. So it's not a disjunction between the second verse and the first and third. They are very connected, and it's important. That's why it serves the enemy for us to focus on the low-hanging fruit. We want to focus on the Black Muslim shooters, but the same ones who originated that plot are the same ones plotting against the life of Black people today through our water. So it's important that we go to the root, right? As you say, go to the root of it. Don't bite the apple. Go to the root of the problem. And the root of the problem in 1965 is the same problem in 2023.
Man, that was beautiful right there. That was beautiful right there. I couldn't have done that myself. And I wrote the song.
But you did. You set the table. That was hot. That was a very revelatory connection that you made.
And I got to shout out David Banner in the chat, man. Shout out to the Black God, David Banner, man.
Peace to the God Banner. That is my brother whom I love. And I understand Reggie Wood. Brother Reggie Wood is in the chat. He's with us. Shout out to Reggie Wood, who is a very important, who provides a very important piece to this puzzle. Brother Reginald.
Your God brother.
Your God brother.
I just listened to your track today, brother. I just listened to his track today about the same subject. Fire.
Yeah, fire indeed. But Banner's my man. Love you. I know I'm supposed to give you a call, Black God. Your brother Will. Love you and I miss you. I'm gonna hit you up in the next few days. Allah willing.
Yes, indeed. And shout out to everybody in the chat, man. We appreciate all y'all. Appreciate all your energy and all your feedback. I'll see if we can get to a few questions at the end. I seen some people were asking questions. Hold it to the end. I see if the God got time to answer a couple of questions before we get out of here. But we're gonna finish up verse 2. For those of y'all that came in a little bit late, the name of the song is "Who Killed Malcolm," and it's off the album entitled "The Master's Table" by DJ RP Beats and Sincere Love to God. And so let's get back to Who Killed Malcolm. All right.
Now back to Who Killed Malcolm. A lot of information cleared the name of the nation, but some of y'all still doubt him. I had this argument with RPB. He said, nah, I think the nation had a part in it, G. They was jealous of Malcolm. He was outshining the master. You know the laws of power. I thought about it and asked him, you clear the government of wrongdoing? I mean, I understand the jealousy. We all human.
And so, yeah, part of this stems from a real life conversation with me and my DJ, me and my producer, RP Beats.
Shout out to DJ RP Beats.
Shout out to DJ RP Beats. My brother just entered the chat, as a matter of fact. Peace, God. And so, yeah, we keeps it all the way 100 over here. That's the reason why on the hook, nobody talking how we talking. Who gonna confront the producer on the record? You know what I'm saying? When you ever see that happen?
Nah, I haven't. That's
right. You know what I'm saying? And so when I talk about, you know, some of our people who believe the narrative or whatever, it's not to throw anybody under the bus. This is a powerful enemy that we have, and they have systems and apparatuses to bend reality at their will. And so I don't hold my people at fault. You know what I'm saying?
Great way to put that.
I don't hold my people at fault. It's not to try to throw my DJ under the bus. That's my brother. You know what I'm saying? We just had a different of opinion on the subject, which led to the record, which led to me being here with the great Dr. Wesley Muhammad today. So all praise be to Allah. You know what I'm saying?
RP, DJ RP Beats. That what you sparked in the God Sincere was very powerful. And we thank you for it, man.
Yes, indeed. So back to Who Killed Malcolm. A lot of information cleared the name of the nation, but some of y'all still doubt him. I had this argument with RP Beats. He said, nah, I think the nation had a part in it, G. They was jealous of Malcolm. He was outshining the master. You know the laws of power. I thought about it and asked him, you clear the government of wrongdoing? I mean, I understand the jealousy. We all human. Stop right there. And so even in the interview with Mike Wallace, Minister Farrakhan said, yeah, there were those in the circle who were jealous of Malcolm. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, what do you say about that? How they utilize that fact to frame their narrative?
Right. So the jealousy, and we'll start there. And we definitely want to go back to your opening lyric about all of the information, but our people still believe. So let's make sure we don't
put a pin right there.
Off. The jealousy is very important. And of course, your song opens with the minister. Words acknowledging that there absolutely was jealousy directed at Malcolm X. There was jealousy. Hear this. I'm about to say something and may catch a lot of people off guard. But it's extremely important that it be said. The trial of jealousy is an absolutely critical and necessary part of the walk in the Nation of Islam. In particular, Malcolm X absolutely experienced jealousy. He was not the first. He was not the last. In fact, the Nation of Islam is structured in a way that breeds it. What are you saying, brother Dr. Wesley? That does not sound good for the nation. Well, you got to understand the purpose of the nation and the role that the jealousy that all of us who walk this path experience, because the Nation of Islam, we walk with power. Let's just keep it 100. The laborers of the Nation of Islam, we walk like no other black people walk. We different. It's because tremendous power is invested in the positions in the Nation of Islam, but the power derives from the truth at the root of the Nation of Islam. So nobody walk like us, nobody bang like us, nobody talk like us. Now, the Nation of Islam, the mosque, is structured to bring out the best in us and to bring out the worst in us, because the mosque is set up to make gods, to transform niggas into gods. That's a painful process. A necessary element of that process is dealing with jealousy and envy. So the exact same trial that Malcolm experienced, his understudy at the time, the Honorable Brother Minister Farrakhan, he experienced the same thing. I've experienced, let's be real clear. In the Malcolm X narrative, the boogeymen are the Chicago National Laborers. I'm a Chicago National Laborer. I know well the jealousy that is a part of the walk in the Nation of Islam, but every male who ascends the ranks of the Nation of Islam knows it firsthand. It's part of our daily meal. The mosque is structured in a way to produce it, because it's how we handle that will determine whether we will die as a nigga or evolve into godhood. Now, what do I mean, die as a nigga? And of course, I'm not referring to Malcolm X as a nigga. We have all come to the mosque as Negroes and niggas. The process of being a god, growing into a god, a lot of us can't take that heat, so we leave. We leave the process, and that's okay. That's okay. We get confronted with the jealousy, the enmity, the envy, the scheming of our brothers, and we leave the mosque. That's okay. I never condemn people who was in a mosque with me today and left the mosque tomorrow. If they don't ill talk the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, if they just go about their existence, I never called them a hypocrite. I understand it got too hot for you, and so you left. I get it. No hard feelings. But this is a fire. The life of an FOI in this structure, it is by design a fire. So back to Malcolm. Malcolm ascended to the highest ranks of the Nation of Islam. He was number 2 to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He was the beloved of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Yes, that triggered jealousy, and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad warned Malcolm about the jealousy that was going to come to him. We wish Malcolm passed the jealousy test. The Honorable Brother Minister Farrakhan walked in Malcolm's shoes. He not only suffered the same jealousy that Malcolm suffered, he suffered it from the same people who were Malcolm's enemies in the nation. The Honorable Minister Farrakhan inherited Malcolm's enemies and the jealousy that was directed at Malcolm was directed at the minister. But the jealousy is among the things that we must survive in the nation in order to evolve into our godhood. So yes, Malcolm experienced it. He was not the first. He was not the last. Many of us who experience it, we leave the process because of it. What we want to do is survive the jealousy, allow it to feed our growth instead of feed our bitterness. And if we do that, then we can grow into our godhood. The perfect and only example that we know of that we can hold up is the Honorable Minister Farrakhan.
Can't argue with that, man. And I know that's hard for a lot of people to accept. You know what I'm saying? A lot of us, you know, and me still, of course, to this day, you know what I'm saying? You know, look up to Malcolm, admire Malcolm. But it's hard for a lot of us to accept that he was not perfect and that he did make some mistakes. Right? Like, you know, he's on the wall behind me. I got him tatted on my arm. Like I said earlier, me and Malcolm Shabazz, his grandson and namesake, were great friends. The first book that I read on my own from cover to cover was the autobiography of Malcolm X. You know what I'm saying?
I'm here.
His teachings, his example has a lot to do with who I am today as a human being. But what you just said is something that has to be accepted in order for us to evolve and make the corrections. You know what I'm saying? Not make the same mistakes and fall into the same trappings as our brother. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of that could have been avoided, to be honest.
Malcolm X is such an important life study. Malcolm X, the autobiography must be read and studied. Malcolm's life must be studied. Where he was exceptionally right should be studied, should be followed. Where he was humanly wrong must be studied to be avoided. To say Malcolm X did a lot good, but he also made some mistakes, that is not diminishing Malcolm X. Of course, it abuses the hagiography, the idolatry that has grown around not the real Malcolm X, but the Malcolm X that was repackaged by the ones who killed Malcolm X and given back to us. See, that's an irony.
Say that.
Yeah. The Malcolm X that is held up as the idol it's an idol constructed by the ones who murdered Malcolm X. So when, I'm going to close on this point, when the U.S. government put Malcolm X on a postal stamp, and we celebrated that, that was a very bad moment for us, and especially for the Malcolm X community. Those persons from the Malcolm X community that celebrated, the U.S. government putting Malcolm X on a postal stamp and describing him as a civil rights leader. That says everything to me. That says that the Malcolm X community is not enamored of Malcolm X himself. They are enamored of the constructed, the fabricated Malcolm X that Malcolm X's own enemies create.
Yes, indeed. And I would even say that, we all agree that the autobiography is a classic and a must read.
It is.
But even the fact that they big it up so much makes you have to give a little side eye. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, hold on. Why are y'all holding this up so much? Y'all don't do that with the ISIS papers.
Absolutely.
Y'all don't do that with Message to the Black Man.
Right.
But
and we can answer the why. Malcolm X did not appear in the media until 1991, 1992. He was lifted up to be weaponized against the Honorable Minister Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam. That's real. That in the 80s, Malcolm X was still villainized in the press. Malcolm wasn't spoken nicely of until he was seen as a useful tool against the minister. So when Bruce Perry dropped his book in 91, and then, of course, claiming Malcolm X was a homosexual.
Yeah.
So there was the attempt, one, to diminish the paragon of Black masculinity as Malcolm X. In his day, he was eulogized as that, and not inappropriately so. But when white America claimed Malcolm, when he no longer became a villain to white America, it was in order to use him against the one who was really a villain in the eyes of white America. That's the minister.
So, a lot of information cleared the name of the nation, but some of y'all still doubt him.
What's this? This is the joint motion to vacate judgments and dismiss the indictment against Khalil Islam, formerly Thomas 15X Johnson, and Muhammad Aziz, formerly Norman 3X Butler. This is the results of the 22-month investigation, reinvestigation, conducted by the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, Cyrus Vance. Of course, the investigation that led to the exoneration of Khalil Islam and Muhammad Aziz that we celebrate. In the document is all of the evidence leading away from and establishing it's not the Nation of Islam who's responsible for the assassination of Malcolm X. Now, we celebrate the exoneration of these two men, Black people. Of course, the Nation of Islam does, because we have been saying from jump that these men are innocent. When the Manhattan District Attorney Office released their findings, there should have never been any more talk of the Nation of Islam killing Malcolm X. Abdul Rahman Muhammad, our brother, the narrator of the Netflix documentary Who Killed Malcolm X. I have great love for my brother as a brother. He takes credit for the process leading to the exoneration. Fine. But the problem is, dear brother, the district attorney's office findings absolutely point away from the Nation of Islam. Yet you still insist on the disproven narrative that the Nation of Islam is responsible. You can't have it both ways. Either you champion the findings and abandon the false narrative, which the findings give the lie to, or leave the findings alone and stick to the false narrative. But trying to have it both ways is just illustrates how committed certain persons are to the false narrative.
Right.
It's not logical. They are emotionally committed. They're ideologically committed to the false narrative. I dare say religiously committed to the false narrative. Here you have all of these facts which you take credit for instigating a process, yet you do not acknowledge the logical conclusion of these facts. You insist on the false narrative. So that verse that you dropped perfectly articulates what I just used all those words to say.
Man, but where did that brother come from, man? Before the Netflix thing, I've never heard of him before. It seemed like he just came out of nowhere, and they heralded him as some type of historian, independent researcher, or whatever the case may be. I'm like, who is this man? And to be fair, I also reached out to him and extended him an invite to come on the show as well. Not tonight, but another time before I even made this song. And you know, he declined. But who is this man?
Well, that's our brother, and I'm not going to spend time denigrating him. I want to make a larger point. We can spend time on the Netflix documentary because the more important questions are, who is Phil Bertelsen and Rachel Drexen? See, they are the authors of that Netflix series. Our brother Abdurrahman is given credit, but in truth, he's window dressing. It is Phil Bertelsen and Rachel Drexen, two white people who are the producers of Who Killed Malcolm X, and they claim the research that went into the series. Now, the whole point, I've described the Who Killed Malcolm X series as an intelligence operation, in particular, a very specific type of intelligence operation called a limited hangout. Phil Bertelsen and Rachel Drexen were able to
Did my brother freeze up? Oh yeah, he froze up. We'll get him back in a second. Meantime, make sure y'all hit that like button, family. Make sure y'all share this out on your social media platform. Is he frozen on y'all end?
Am I back?
There you go.
The real authors of the Who Killed Malcolm X series, Phil Bertelsen and Rachel Drexen, a white man and a white woman, they were able to solicit the aid of not just members of the U.S. intelligence apparatus, but the very ones who are part of the operation to target and kill Malcolm X. They make appearances in the Netflix Who Killed Malcolm X show. Now, this is how the limited hangout works. Limited hangout is an intelligence operation that, in order to conceal a bigger crime that the general public is inching up on, in order to conceal the bigger crime, the agency will acknowledge a smaller crime and get the general public distracted by their acknowledgement of a smaller crime, and they will stop pursuing the bigger crime. That's what Who Killed Malcolm X, the Netflix series, is and does. So the series spends all of this time documenting or revealing the intense surveillance that Malcolm X was subjected to. The intelligence operatives from the FBI and Bossy who were involved in this surveillance are on camera telling us, yes, we surveilled Malcolm, and the general public is all excited. Netflix told the truth about the government's involvement in the Malcolm X matter. No, they only acknowledged that they surveilled Malcolm X, when in fact, they executed Malcolm X. But we were happy with their limited hangout, the limited revelation. We surveilled Malcolm, and we were satisfied. That misdirected us, so we stopped demanding the details of their involvement in his actual murder. So that was an intelligence operation, a successful intelligence operation.
That goes right into these next lines. That's the perfect segue right here.
There are those in the circle.
It's like we speaking in tongues. It's hard to reach the dumb. They control the major resources while we beefing for crumbs. You flex a flimsy muscle when you target Nipsey Hussle. They hit up water supplies. Mississippi, we love you. And Flint, Michigan, who knows when this shit will end? It's coming to a city near you. I hope you listening. I'm back to Who Killed Malcolm. A lot of information cleared the name of the nation, but some of y'all still doubt him. I had this argument with RPB. He said, nah, I think the nation had a part in it, G. They was jealous of Malcolm. He was outshining the master. You know the laws of power. I thought about it and asked him, you clear the government of wrongdoing? I mean, I understand the jealousy. We all human. But the nation was crawling with agents under constant surveillance. And now they claiming that they botched the whole investigation like they incompetent. Come on, we need to stop this shit. They covered up the crime because they the fuckers that got them hit. Man, nobody talking how we talking, nigga.
And I believe
very important.
I believe I lifted that last line directly from you. And now they claiming that they botched the whole investigation like they incompetent. Come on, we need to stop this shit. They covered up the crime because they the fuckers that got them hit.
Very, very important. Those who are familiar with the way the intelligence community operates knows that their protocol says, and this is in particular the CIA, but it's both the CIA, the FBI, the Office of Naval Intelligence. Their protocol is incompetence is better than criminality. They cover criminality by claiming incompetence. So whenever Senate committees investigate alleged crimes of the CIA, the report that comes out always clears the CIA of the criminality by covering it with incompetence. So that's standard operating procedure of the intelligence community to claim incompetence to cover criminality. So the investigation into Malcolm X was not botched. The investigation was successful. The investigation was designed as a cover-up to conceal the facts of the assassination. So it was very successful. I'm trying to remember how you began
on that last part.
Yeah.
Um,
because there was
so,
something I wanted to comment on.
but the nation was crawling with agents
Yeah.
under constant surveillance.
Yeah.
Or was it before that? They hit up water supplies, Mississippi, we love you. In Flint, Michigan, who knows when the shit will end? It's coming to a city near you. I hope you listening. Now back to who killed Malcolm. A lot of information cleared the name of the nation, but some of y'all still doubt him. I had this argument with RP Beats. He said, nah, I think the nation had a part in it, G. They was jealous of Malcolm. He was outshining the master. You know the laws of power. I thought about it and asked him, you clear the government of wrongdoing? I mean, I understand the jealousy. We all human. But the nation was crawling with agents under constant surveillance. And are they claiming that they botched the whole investigation? Like they incompetent. Come on, we need to stop this shit. They covered up the crime because they the fuckers that got him hit.
Absolutely.
That's the lyrics.
Absolutely. Perfect. And of course, the Nation of Islam was honeycombed with hypocrites and agents at that time. I have a very important FBI file on John Simmons, or as we know him, John Ali, the National Secretary of the Nation of Islam. His history with the FBI. As Malcolm X said, John Ali acknowledged that he was trained by the FBI. He just did not get his training at Quantico. Quantico, of course, is the FBI, the academy that trains FBI agents. When you are en route to becoming an official, actual agent, you go through Quantico. But when you are trained to be an unofficial asset of the FBI, you're trained off-site. You're trained by the FBI, but not at Quantico. And John Ali admitted to Malcolm X that he was trained by the FBI off-site before joining the Nation of Islam, and the FBI file makes it clear that they had a highly placed asset in Chicago in the secretarial department around John Ali, and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad ultimately dismissed John Ali from his post because, as I understand it, he was an FBI asset. So when we cite the words of John Ali on a June radio program, supposedly calling for the death of Malcolm X, that was not the Nation of Islam. That was an FBI asset doing that. And then the Honorable Elijah Muhammad came right behind John Ali and gave the order, no, leave Malcolm alone.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And oh man, real quick, let everybody know where they can find you at, Dr. Wesley. Anything that you got coming up soon. I got the website right here. And the Malcolm Project on deck right here. Let me remove the banners, but let everybody know all your social media stuff, your website, all of that good stuff.
Please visit and subscribe to my website, wesleymuhammad.com. I'm also on drwesley.info. I'm on social media as either Wesley Muhammad or Dr. Wesley Muhammad, Dr. Wesley Muhammad. I'm at your local mosque. Visit me at your local mosque, whatever city that you're in, visit us. And definitely subscribe to my website, wesleymuhammad.com. On Instagram, I have, of course, my personal page, Wesley Muhammad, but also just set up an IG page just for the Malcolm X Project, work that I'm doing. Please subscribe to that. That page is correcting the narrative. Because of course, that's what we're doing. We're correcting the false narrative, the Malcolm X false narrative.
I need one of my moms to put that in the chat also. Correcting the narrative. Everything is spelled.
The narrative.
Yeah, I see it
on
right
that
here.
page is dedicated to my work on the Malcolm X project. So please subscribe to that, correcting the narrative, because that's what we're doing, inshallah.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And man, I can't even believe this just happened, brother.
This was great. I really love the structure, the flow, vetting, unpacking the lyrics to your song. This was dope. I really enjoyed this.
Man, thank you again for being here. Thank everybody for tuning in and rocking with us. Man, I don't even know what to say. I'm really honored, man, to have had this conversation with you and to have this in the archives. You know what I'm saying? As part of your work, as well as part of my work. You know what I'm saying? We broadcasting live right now on my YouTube channel, on my Facebook page, as well as Dr. Wesley's Facebook page. And so, you know, we here, man. We are part of the history, all of us, all of you who are tuned in and lent us your energy, who was giving feedback inside the chat. And right now, you got a couple of minutes to take some questions from the chat, by the way. If you guys got any questions for our brother, we got a couple of minutes left here. We could take some questions from the chat. Type your questions inside the chat. Now would be that time. Peace to the God, knowledge born Allah. I see you, King. Shout out to my co-host, Nicey Girl, in the digital building. Mama Love, I see you. Yes, indeed. And to all Dr. Wesley's people that are here, you guys, make sure that you head on over to the YouTube and type in my name, Sincere Love to God, and subscribe to this channel. This series right here, this is volume 2. Last week we did a song called Black Death, White Wealth, and that song is featuring my son, Zelo, and my homegirl Aida was featured on that track. I think Aida is here in the chat as well. And so we broke down the lyrics to that one last week. And so this is going to be a weekly series, the Masters Decoded, where we're going to take each song the same way that me and Dr. Wesley did tonight and dissect and break down the lyrics. If you guys haven't had a chance, make sure you go check out the album, man. It's available on all streaming platforms, but you could also go to the website, www.themastersrsvp.com. You can order the digital download, the CD that you could keep as a collector's item, put that on the shelf with your books, with your DVD collection and all of that. And you can get your posters, your hoodies. We're going to be coming out with the t-shirts real soon. We got all the merch and all that. And I got to get your address so I can send you some merch too, Dr. Wesley.
Definitely.
But yeah, that's the website right there on the screen, family. Go check that out. And let me see what y'all talking about in the chat. Let me switch this right here. Boom. Boom. Yeah, Aida's fire. Was Dr. Khalid, okay, somebody said, let me go back. Was Dr. Khalid a victim of the same assassination program, in your opinion?
Well, of course, as far as we know, all of the evidence indicates that our brother, Dr. Khalid, died of a brain aneurysm. Was that brain aneurysm induced by the enemy? They certainly have the capability to do so. I personally have no information to that effect. So I cannot affirm that right now. Certainly, I would not deny it. It's just that I have no information that suggests it. As far as we know right now, Brother Dr. Khalid died of a brain aneurysm, unfortunately.
Why did they, I guess he's saying, why did they say it was right to remove Malcolm X on Earth, which was he having for them to have so much fear to kill them? I don't understand the question because I think you was typing too fast, brother Trevor. I think you was typing too fast, so the wording there is not it's not making sense to me. Let me see what else we got. See what else we got. You're on the right track, black man. He got they having their own conversation there about. I guess they want to know who gave Malcolm the name Malcolm Shabazz.
All right, and I see a question about Brother Dick Gregory. I would like to address that as well.
I've heard you speak
the
on
name,
that.
The Honorable Elijah Muhammad gave Malcolm Malik Shabazz, I believe, as early as 1959. He did not take that name when he left the Nation of Islam. Malik Shabazz, in fact, was on his passport, as I understand it, when he traveled to the Middle East on behalf of the Nation of Islam in 1959. The whole myth that Malcolm went to Mecca in 1964, April 1964, and saw for the first time white Muslims, and it totally revolutionized his perspective. That's a myth.
Yeah.
I know it's a myth that Malcolm himself created, but he had reason to do so. The fact of the matter is Malcolm X toured that whole area in 1959 on behalf of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Nation of Islam. And as I understand it, his passport at the time read Malik Shabazz.
Right. So Malcolm was doing a little bit of kind of cleaning up his image a little bit to try to ingratiate himself, being that he was on the outs with the nation and he still needed to keep his movement going. He was trying to ingratiate himself with some of the civil rights actors and activists and organizations at that time.
That is exactly right. He would do respect to our brother, but we just got to keep it honest. He feigned a Pauline experience. The Mecca conversion narrative was Malcolm feigning a Pauline experience in order to get the Nation of Islam monkey off his back. When he declared on March 8th, 9th, and 11th his separation from the Nation of Islam, and he sought alliances from civil rights leaders, all of them rejected Malcolm because, of course, Malcolm had beat up on them so badly when he was a demon in their eyes. When he left the nation and tried to ally with the civil rights movement, they rejected him. He chose his trip to Arabia, to Mecca, as an opportunity to have a conversion experience. And he sent the letter that was eventually published by Mike Handler in the New York Times, talking about, I've dined with Muslims whose skin was the whitest of white and eyes the bluest of blue. He sent that letter back to his chief of staff, James Shabazz, with the instruction to James to take that letter to various civil rights leaders, give it to them, and tell them, I think you will find this pleasing. So yes, it was a political move. It was political spin. It had a purpose. And no, he did not discover white Muslims for the first time in Arabia in 1964. He saw them in 1959.
So I think what Brother Trevor was asking is why the FBI felt the need to remove Malcolm X from the planet, and why were they so scared of him or his existence?
Again, the assassination of Malcolm X was an executive action. We can't stop at the FBI. The FBI collaborated with the CIA, the Office of Naval Intelligence, Army G2. The operation which G2 is Army intelligence. The operation that targeted Malcolm was a very elaborate operation that involved all of these agencies because it was an executive action, meaning it originated from the White House. So because the White House, Lyndon Johnson, had determined that Malcolm X will be quieted, the assassination apparatus went into motion against Malcolm X. Now, Malcolm X, there were a number of reasons why Malcolm X was deemed a national threat to the U.S. And we did detail the various levels of threat that Malcolm caused, what, in a sense, doomed Malcolm, what guaranteed Malcolm's death at the hands of the U.S. assassination apparatus, was his undercutting the U.S. effort in Africa. It is absolutely the case that in the 60s, with European colonialism coming to an end, the U.S. had hoped to come right into the post-colonial Africa and establish neo-colonialism. And so the U.S. was very invested in its image in Africa as a friend of the African. It was Malcolm X traveling throughout Africa, giving a lie to that claim of the U.S. that really angered the White House, angered Johnson, angered the CIA. We have the CIA documents that expresses, that demonstrates their anger at Malcolm for undercutting American credibility in Africa. And so 2 days after Malcolm was killed, he was scheduled to participate in the Second Bandung Conference, a conference that brought together third world nations. It was an anti-colonial conference. The CIA did not want Malcolm to make that conference because that would have sealed America's doom, if you will, in terms of America trying to ingratiate herself in Africa. And so, last point, we have an FBI document indicating, in that document, an informed reporter says that according to the information we have, Malcolm wasn't scheduled to be executed until March 8th, around March 8th. But it was moved up. And one of the reasons it was moved up to February 21st is because Malcolm X had purchased a ticket to leave the country that Tuesday. And so February 21st was decided as the new date for his public execution.
All right. And we'll end it off with this question right here. How do you see Black people going forward after learning the truth about Brother Malcolm's assassination, Dr. Wesley Muhammad?
Well, one, Black people must disabuse ourselves of the stigma that has been placed on the Nation of Islam unjustly. We did not murder our brother. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad had hoped Malcolm would return to the Nation of Islam, and Malcolm was trying to do so. There was no desire for a martyred Malcolm. All of our plans was for a repentant Malcolm. And that would have been way more powerful than a dead, martyred Malcolm. We didn't want that. And so I would say Black people moving forward with this knowledge, the first thing we must do is get rid of that false charge that the Nation of Islam killed Malcolm X. There was no reason to hold on to that myth, that lie today. So give it up. Secondly, go forward knowing that the U.S. government is now what it has always been since our souls first hit these shores. The U.S. government is not a friend of the Black man and woman. The U.S. government absolutely is an enemy of the Black man and woman in America, and what they did to Malcolm signals how they feel about Malcolm's people and how they treat Malcolm's people. But just as their hand was hidden in the assassination of Malcolm X, their hand is hidden in the Black death that permeates Black life in America today.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And by the way, that song Black Death, White Wealth that we broke down last week, that song opens up with an excerpt from you.
Oh, praise
talking about the Black Death clause in the record contracts.
Yes, sir. That's
you know what I mean? So you gotta check the album out, brother. You gotta check the album out.
I definitely.
All right, family. That does it for today's episode of Sincere Love the Godcast. This has been volume 2 of the Masters Decoded. And you just got the lyrical breakdown of Who Killed Malcolm by the master teacher himself, student minister, Dr. Wesley Muhammad. It was an honor. It was a pleasure. Last words, brother.
The honor and pleasure is mine. My only words is I cannot, though I appreciate the sentiment, I cannot accept the title master teacher. I am striving hard to be as best a student of the only master teacher that I've personally met in my life, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I hope one day that if I master being a student well enough, then maybe one day I can be a master teacher, but I am not that today.
Well, that goes along with what I say every time I end this broadcast. And so we're going to do it just like that. That does it for today's episode of Sincere Love the Godcast. Family, always remember, I am not the master teacher. I am only the master student and signal booster for the voices of the new Black media. With that being said, we out of here, family. Peace and Black love.
Most resilient, we poster children of prophecy fulfillment. We gotta